Welcome to Colorflow Conversations, where we flow freely, speak boldly, and connect colorfully. I am Keisha, and this is
Takesha.
And as you can see, we have special guests with us again. I'm so excited.
What's happening?
We have my friend, my client, and of course, I didn't tell Takesha anything about you all. Okay, I never tell her anything because I just tell her I want to invite somebody, and I did tell her a couple weeks ago that for Valentine's Day I would love to have a couple, right? And so as I was like, but I can't think of nobody. And she was like, well, I'm sure you'll think of somebody. God gonna give you somebody. And I was like, okay. What you don't know, let me first say your name, child. I forgot to introduce you. We have my friend and client, Denise, better known as Nikki, and her husband, Shaun.
What's happening?
So, when I told her I wanted to invite a couple, out of all the couples that I know, I couldn't think of anybody because I wanted somebody who was authentic and that I knew really had real love. And during that time, it's so funny how God is. You and I don't talk all the time, but you text me about something, and it was like God gave me a sign, and I still wasn't getting it. And we don't talk often, but you text me twice within 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, God, oh, okay, yeah. It was like, oh, yeah, Nikki is fine. So when I told Takesha, I said, I got a couple, she was like, okay. I didn't tell her anything.
And I never asked.
And she don't ask anything either because I just want her to hear your first time, the story, the life, the love. And Nikki and I know each other first because she became a client. And then her son joined the choir with my daughter. So we've been knowing each other. And she is also a part of my village, I realized. Like with our children, helping each other out with need and everything. She's a mother of 6 and actually of 8 because she has 2 foster children. And she's also an author. And I gotta tell you, I didn't even know how to start this because I ordered your book a while ago but never really had time to read it. But I'm gonna tell you, when I wanted to invite a couple, I was like, I need to read Nikki's book. I read that book in 2 days. I couldn't put it down. This week. I had it in the car with me. When I would drive my daughter off and we'd go somewhere and I'd be waiting on her, I would be reading it in between. And before we get into you all's love story, I have to ask you, like, this story that you put together, your life story, is so raw and real. And because I know you, I was just so touched and just, I don't even know what the word was. Like, you told your story in a way that was just, it was so much about you I didn't know.
A lot of people don't, and I don't wear it. When my baby girl, when Amber, she's not a baby, but she's 22, when she read it for the first time, she was up at Saginaw Valley State. And she read it, drove all the way home in tears, like, Mom, I didn't know you went through all of that. Because I just don't wear it on my face for real.
You don't. Let me say this because you told your story in a way, and me and Takesha always talk about family a lot on here. You were very raw about your family and your relationship with your mother and your father.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know your mother. And we talk about our mothers a lot because we've lost our mothers, but your relationship with your mother and father was so different, and they got divorced. Talk about that a little bit. They got divorced when you were 10?
Correct. Yep, I was 10 years old when my parents got divorced. And, I was a kid. You didn't really understand, and you didn't really get it, but you just flowed with what they said. They're not going to be together.
Takesha, one of her first, I don't know if it's the first line, one line that stuck out to me in the book was she thought her parents were rich.
Oh, yeah.
And you said that!
You cannot tell me no different. Like, I didn't have anything to compare it to, and I never knew struggle, so to me, that was rich. Like, we had everything we needed.
And I thought about you when I read read that line because I said, this is just something Takesha would
I
write.
wish I could bring myself, and maybe I am, now that we're here talking about it, back to that same mind frame, because I stay in a mind frame of lack and scarcity because of what I don't have, when really I literally have everything that I need. So essentially, I'm rich.
Yeah, you was like, I thought that we were rich, and I was just like, girl, that reminded me of Takesha when I read that line. But your book just, it was just amazing.
So now I gotta take it home.
Yeah, I read it. I finished it because I want you to take it home because I know you.
Yeah,
it's an easy read.
I'll be in read this tonight.
I read it in one day.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, I literally.
It's easy read.
It's an easy read, but the story and your journey and what brought you to Shaun, and it's just it's like, wow. So you're a mother of 6. You were talk about first.
Well, honestly, with us coming together, it's 12 kids all together.
12 kids altogether.
It's 12 of them.
It's
So
12?
I have 8 children, 6 at birth, 2 fosters, and then my husband has 4, so it's 12 kids all together.
Oh
Yeah.
my God.
It's a whole dozen.
problem. Yes.
Yeah, he says a whole problem. It's a whole problem. Well, when I met you, I didn't ask you before we started if it's something you all didn't want to talk about. Usually I do, but you wrote it in the book about Richard, your first husband, and her husband passed away during COVID. And I want you to talk about that a little bit because I want you to bring us to how you met Shaun.
Well, I've known Shaun since I was in 10th grade, so for a long time. And he never really wasn't a part of our lives for real. But when my husband passed, we were married nearly 15 years. And so it was an unexpected journey for sure. Because, at 35 years old, you don't expect, and you see it all the time. Like when I was watching the news, like during COVID, like, oh, that's so unfortunate she lost her husband. Oh my God. Like, because you're seeing all these people die around you or that you're hearing it. But even when you know that tomorrow's not promised, like you don't expect this is about to knock on my door for real. This is about to hit our home and hit it in the worst way. And so, we both were sick. We had both taken ill, and actually it started with Cody being sick. And Cody had gotten like some symptoms, and he started before.
Cody's her
my son. Yep. And so even before there was a possibility of symptoms causing your taste to be, not have taste, he had that symptom, and that was immediately. So he's like, I can't taste anything. I'm like, boy, what you mean? You can't taste anything. So my husband took him to the doctor, and they said, he asked him, did he have any trouble with breathing? But at that time, even his breathing wasn't an issue with COVID per se. Yeah. So they're like, no, it's no need to test him. Like, he's fine. He didn't have asthma, but they gave him an inhaler. Like, why does he need an inhaler if he don't have asthma? But either way, after he got sick, after Cody got sick, the very next day, my husband got sick. And he's like, well, I can't taste anything. But he kept eating. And so Cody didn't want to eat. Yeah. My husband kept eating. And he kept telling Cody, you better eat. Because that's how you're going to get your taste back. Now, it took me and Cody both.
He told him, keep eating.
Because that's how you're going to get your taste back. But literally, within 2 or 3 days, he had his taste back. Okay. Me and Cody didn't have taste for about a week and a half each.
Wow, okay.
But and I literally, when I look back at over everything, it's like God knew, like his time is short. Let him enjoy his food for real, okay? I don't want him to not be able to enjoy the things that that we're about to have, because he's about to leave. And so he got his taste back, and that's what he kept telling us. If you want to get your taste back, you got to keep eating. Just keep eating. But we didn't have no appetite. Like, I don't want to eat. I don't want to eat. So even while he was sick, 2 days later, I got sick. So I'm sick, but I caught a fever really quickly. Like, my fever was like 105. Richard was calling my sister because my sister's a nurse, and he's like, what do I do? She's like, just go get her some Tylenol. If her fever don't come down within a few hours, you got to take her to the hospital. So he's sick though. He's still sick. He drove to CVS, went and got me some Tylenol because we didn't have any in the house, and some Motrin. She told him to alternate it. Within a few hours, my fever had went down. So she's like, okay, you good. You don't have. He never had a fever. After I had the fever, then he got a fever. So I'm like, okay. So now we both still sick, but I'm catering to him, trying to get him better. And so we got better. Things were doing okay. 10 days we were really down. Like both of us were down. He didn't go to work. We didn't. None of the kids were really being taken care of. We had a 10-month-old in the house. I'm like, I don't know what this baby doing. Like, she'd be all right. Like, cause we was just sick. So by the time we were sitting in the living room, me, him, and Cody, the rest of the kids were just in the house, just doing them, and we were watching TV, watching a movie, and he suddenly just got up. He got up, walked away. Me and Cody kept watching the movie. I didn't think anything of it. I wasn't wondering why did he get up. He went into the room. I heard him cut on his nebulizer because my husband had asthma. He cut on the nebulizer, and I'm like, well, that's normal. He had asthma, so he would cut. If he felt like he couldn't breathe, he'd just cut it on. After he cut on the nebulizer, he took a shower. Not abnormal. My husband literally, he goes to the bathroom, he taking a shower. So I'm like, okay, he's just taking a shower. He gets in the shower. He had the towel wrapped around him, and he walked into the bedroom. Me and Cody still sitting there watching a movie. And when he walked into the back room, he text messaged me. Now, this is what alarmed me, because you texted me. You just saw me in the hallway. Why are you texting me? So when he texted me, he said he said, babe, come here. So I walked in the back, and he's like, something's wrong. I can't breathe. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, he's like, I did a treatment. I took a shower. I tried to get the steam to help. I can't breathe. So now I'm freaking out because he's sweating profusely as he's saying this, and you're not doing anything that caused you to sweat like this. And he looked gray to me. Like, I'm like, what is wrong with you? So I'm freaking out. I'm like, get dressed. I called my sister. She said, get him anywhere but Sinai Grace. Get him anywhere. But that's where we lived in that area. And he was still alert, coherent. My daughter was upstairs. She was 17 at the time. I'm yelling. I'm like, Amber, watch your siblings. I got to take Shaun to the hospital. She's like, what's wrong? Girl, I ain't got time. Just watch your siblings. I got in the car. He was still alert. I'm freaking out still because he just seems weak. I could see weakness, just how he was walking, how he was talking. And we literally drove out of the driveway, went down Clarita up toward Wyoming. And as we were getting to Wyoming, I mean, it was like he just stopped. He stood up. He didn't pass out like he just fall over. He stood up. He got erect. And he just stopped talking. His eyes got big. His mouth opened up wide, and tears.
And you still driving?
I'm still driving. Tears are coming out of his face. And I'm like, what is wrong? Saying nothing to me. Like, it's like he was out of it. I'm literally pushing him. And he bouncing off the door. And I'm like, what the frick is wrong with you? I called my sister like, listen, I don't got time to get him nowhere else. I got to go somewhere because I don't know what to do. He done passed out to some respect. I don't know what happened.
So you had to go to Sinai Grace.
Unfortunately. And so we went there, and I'm speeding. I'm driving so erratically. And at the time, because it was COVID, people were lined up outside of the hospital, but I'm freaked out. I'm driving, I'm hitting stuff, not like hurting things, but like curbs. I'm just literally driving to get into the. I was almost like I could have drove my car into the hospital, and people started moving like, "Oh, she nuts," because I was driving erratically, and so they started moving. I started to run into the hospital. They stopped me. Hey, what's wrong? You can't come in here. I'm like, listen, I need a wheelchair. Like my husband, but when we were coming into the hospital, he snapped out of it.
You couldn't go. You wrote in the book though that you could not go in. You had to leave him there.
I couldn't go in. They stopped me at the door. Yeah. I couldn't go in. And it was.
How many days was he there by himself?
I dropped my husband off at between 8:30 and 9 p.m. By 6 o'clock the next day, he was gone.
The next day. My mother passed during COVID, and one of the things that I related to in your book was how you felt bad that he was alone, and that's one of the things I have an issue with when I think about my mom, is that she passed with none of us around her because we couldn't be in the hospital. So when I read that, and I remember that time because we had just seen each other that Sunday, I think before, because the kids had to sing. So, and he was there at the church, wasn't he?
We dropped Cody off, but we were sitting outside.
Okay, yeah. Okay. I thought that I saw y'all inside, but that touched me because I'm thinking about how you said you left him, and y'all were communicating. Then it was like he was thinking he was gonna come home,
Not just him, the hospital thought he was coming home. They called me. You could pick him up soon. We're just getting his stuff ready. Like, he thought it. They thought it. I thought it at this point. You know, he texted me and said, babe, I shit myself. And I'm clowning him in the text message, like, oh, when you get home. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, how did that happen? He was like, I don't know. But I changed my tone because I could see he was nervous. Like, he was like, I don't know. I was asleep. I woke up. He said he didn't even feel it. He could just smell it. And he's like, what is that smell? And he's like,
so he told me everything he going through.
And I'm like, call a nurse. And after that, he went and he was texting me. Literally, I have dialogue of, you know, I'm okay. I'm gonna see if I can reach somebody because I need to clean up. I want to get this off of me. You know, that was the last text we had. He got up to clean himself per a nurse. That told me my husband's last moments. That he had gotten up. They showed him a sink because he was supposed to be admitted, and then they said we were going to leave him, so he was still in triage area. So they took him to a sink and gave him like a little thing to cover the sink so that he could get himself cleaned. And while he was at the sink cleaning himself, he collapsed. And when he collapsed, that's when they had to resuscitate him. They intubated him, brought him back. And that's when I got the phone call that they were doing everything they could, but they, you know, within 30 minutes of just that, we're doing everything we could call. Not even 30 minutes. It was, I'm sorry, he's gone. Like,
I experienced that. Not with the spouse, but then you had to go home and tell
that was over the phone. And I remember distinctly when I got that phone call, I was on the phone with LaQuinta, and I got the phone call. And I'm like, okay, it's the hospital. But I was scared to click over. Like, I'm already freaked out because I got this call. And so when they called me and they said he was gone, like, I just screamed. Amber came running to the room. Mom, what is it? And instantly, it was at that moment, I had to get into mommy mode. Like, girl, it's a spider. It's right above your head. Close the door. Like, I didn't want to, you know, I couldn't tell her. Yeah. You know, I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do, you know. And if it had not been for my husband's pastor, Pastor Claude Alamay, and my sister, my mother, they all came over. They stood on the grass. I brought the kids out, like, because I couldn't even formulate the words. Like, I had already been through this with Amber and Aaron, you know, when their father died, telling them that, how do I tell them that I just told my 10-year-old, you know, Caleb was 10 at the time. He like, Mom, is Dad okay? He crying. I'm like, Dad's okay. Like, he texted me. He's good. He like, oh. Mom said, Dad, he good because he texted her, you know, like till he gone. Like, how do you transition to that conversation? And so if it wasn't for them, you know, Pastor May had I'm sitting on the porch and I got all of the kids around me. And, you know, Pastor May had talked to him about, you know, your dad going in, and he said, you know, they did everything they could, but your dad, you know, he didn't make it.
I read it. The wails, the tears,
I couldn't. You know, like, I don't wish that on nobody. To have to deal with that level of pain for these kids, and to, you know, and for Amber and Aaron at the time, they had already lost their biological father. Now, my husband had been in their lives since they were 3 and 4. You know? So it was like to tell them that, you know, that not both their fathers, now my other set, your dad is gone. And all you can hear, Daddy, they just screaming. They go. I'm like, Amber was hyperventilating, but I couldn't really deal with her because I had the two little ones up under me, and they screaming, you know. And it was literally Cody. When we got in the house, I mean Cody, and he was 12 at the time. He like, come on, y'all, come on, like, y'all, let's pray. 12. He like, Mom, come on, let's pray. And I said, Cody, I can't. But I'm like, I'll let you pray. He like, come on, y'all, hold hands. Come on. Cody prayed.
That's why y'all used to hold their hands with a family, because as soon as you said, let's pray, Shaun, he went to hold their hands, yeah.
And when that baby prayed, I literally looked at my son, and he was only a baby to me. But I'm like, to watch God give me that immediate sign that I got you. And to watch God allow this 12-year-old to minister to his family when he just heard the worst news of his life. I mean, he's a mirror of his father. Look just like him.
He is
And for him to gap, even the big ones, he's talking to the 17-year-old, come on. And when he was done praying, he said, Mom, Dad don't want me to be strong. And when I say the baby has been a rock ever since, I had to teach him to cry. I had to like, boy, it's okay. It's okay to cry. It's okay to let that out.
It's so many things that we could talk about from your book, but I wanted to talk about that because I believe that brings us to how God, has a promise for you and has a promise for all of us. And it wasn't long after that you came to get your makeup done by me. And I was doing your makeup and we're talking, and I always ask, what you got going on today? And you said to me, I don't know if you used the word you going on a date. Was it Sweetest Day or? And this wasn't long.
It was Sweetest Day.
It was the Sweetest Day?
Yeah.
It was Sweetest Day.
No, it wasn't. No, it was Valentine's.
It was Valentine's Day?
Yep.
It was Valentine's Day.
No.
Yeah, it was.
I think it was Sweetest Day.
It was Sweetest Day.
Was it?
Yeah.
I think it was
Maybe.
Sweetest Day. It was.
No,
It wasn't.
We hadn't even established that we liked each other for real.
The first time me and you went on a date, that picture that on your desk.
Oh, because it was a year after. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
That's what I said. It was
Okay. So
literally
Sweetest Day. I thought I'm thinking
a year after, and a lot of people would be like, "You moving on fast. You moving, But I felt so happy for you as we talked because I could feel your energy and your spirit was just so happy, and not many people knew.
No.
Not many people knew, but the
Not
fact
at all.
that you shared it with me was like,
Because I'm like, she ain't talking to nobody that I know for real. Like she ain't gonna announce it.
Listen, I was not gonna announce it, but when she told me, and it was literally like a year after this traumatic event had happened, she has 8 kids, and she told me she going on a date, and I was like, what? Where's mine? But wait a minute. I just started thinking about the promise that he has for you, and now reading your book, it's like you have been one thing in the book. Every time you get after reading a chapter, and then you talk about what I can't remember how I can't remember the word, but what's going to help you through it. You always have faith on there. What was that called at the end of each chapter where you had the journal part?
What makes you smile?
Yeah,
why are you still smiling?
Why are you still smiling?
Yeah,
why are you still smiling?
Mm-hmm.
So you go through the why are you still smiling, and each time you always put some faith under most of them each time. I got my faith through everything. So when you came to get your makeup done that day, and you told me you were going on a date, and I was like, you are? And you started talking about him. And I was like, and you didn't say a whole lot, but I could just tell, you just were so calm. The word that one of our other guests used when she described her husband. You were so calm, and you were at ease about it. You were so I'm happy, and your children were happy, and everybody. And I was like, who is this man? How did y'all tell me? Okay, 10th grade y'all met.
We did. We met in 10th grade. We went to high school together.
We actually met in 9th grade.
What we did. Well, I mean, we wasn't talking back then. We met in 9th grade. We were just friends though. He was always my boy. He was literally, and that's really kind of how we got back into, and it was really Amber that told me, Shaun like you. I'm like, no, he don't. Why do you think that?
I was on that thing.
But he my boy for real. So we would have conversations about literally anything. And since even when he was a kid, I always told Shaun, you got a lot going on. Since he was a kid, because, he was a whole ladies' man, okay? I'm telling you. And matter of fact, when we even acknowledged, because Amber was like, Mom, I think Shaun likes you. I'm like, why do you think that? She's like, because he's still around. She's like, because everybody. I said people keep dropping off food.
So wait a minute. So when your husband passed, Shaun would be there for you to have conversations, and
Well, just over the phone, like just talking, like, and then he's like, "Did y'all eat today?" We're like, "I'm gonna order you some chicken." I'm like, "Okay, well, thank you." I took the kids out of town after my husband passed. I took them to Alabama. You know, he's like, "Do they need some snack money?" Sure. I mean,
like, let me ask you this: you knew her for years, but she had 8 children.
So,
That he said.
and
So,
I mean, that part of life never bothers me because it is what it is. Everybody comes with something. I have 4 daughters, so I'm a single man out here with 4 daughters. You know, most people wouldn't take into that either.
Because some men would be like that's a lot to take on, but y'all just flow right into that thing.
and that's what I said to him. I said it a lot when we were like talking. I'm like, okay, so you do realize I have 8 children. He like, and I got 4. Like, and so he kept saying it, and I'm like, so let me help you understand that this is a package for real, like, and it's a lot.
It's a lot. And when you say a lot, Takesha, people think I'm busy. You have to think quadruple the amount.
I cannot think past that because I never understand how I only have 1 son, and it's too much for me. So I don't know how people do multiples. I'd be like, how? And you like,
and
8 plus 4.
She literally, activities. One is in sports. Caleb is baseball. Cody is singing. Kelsey's in the choir with them too. Mackenzie is funny. I don't know what she do.
She played basketball for a minute.
Does she?
But
she
don't do
but
that
you
anymore.
gotta think like she is just like. That's why I said she part of my village because there's been times where we help each other. So I know how her life is a little bit when it comes to her. And she loves not just her children. She loves children because she was my partner when we went to Africa, and she almost brought a little girl home with her.
And she was sending pictures. I'm like, what?
I'm like, this is gonna be y'all sister. I'm like, yes, I tried, and I literally did try.
I know you tried to adopt that baby because that baby would not leave her side. And I'm jumping subjects, but I'm thinking about your love for children and how many you have. You take on the 2 foster children, then you'll help not just children, you help anybody, but when it comes to children, you have like such I thought that I love kids. No. He's like,
She's been like that her whole life.
Really?
Literally her whole life. When we were dating at 14, 15, I got my sister's kids. She was always babysitting. She always had somebody else's kids. She'd be cooking. I'll make the banana pudding, but I got Keith and Kiera. She always had somebody else's kids.
When we went to Africa, you really tried to bring that little girl home. I was like, and I know that he is the man for you because when she sent him the picture, he was just like, okay. He was going to be okay with it. If she came home with that baby, he was like, all right, like, just one more, okay? Bring her on. I was like, how do you... That's to me, like, I don't even know how to explain it. Like, only God knew that, because you talked about how your last 2 girls wasn't even supposed to be here. But only God knew that you needed your children and that you were going to go through the trauma that you went through to come to where you are today.
Correct. And so, when it comes to my husband, like, anytime I talk about him, I tell people, he is why I know that God loves me. I told my sisters when, after my husband died that I was prepared to be by myself because nobody was, or, some old granddaddy was going to want to, they want a ready-made family. But I'm like, yeah, no, that's disgusting. So, no, I don't want that. And I'm just going to be by myself because nobody's going to be prepared to take on this package for real. Like, because this is a package. And he has been such a huge part of their healing process. he's made them feel like they're not by themselves. Like they do still have the love. You know, they call him Shaun. They still have his love, and I think that he's the calmer one between the two, especially when it comes to discipline. So they go to him most times before they come to me. Like, well, let me tell him first. Like, I'm still gonna kill you. like I don't care how it came out, but he's generally my calm before the storm. Just babe, hear him out. Listen to what he's saying. I'm like, I hear him, but he's definitely a part of the human.
I've watched how, cause you literally came to say, I'm going on a date, you was getting your makeup done, and then the next thing I know, you was getting married. And I was, Takesha, when they say a man, if he know, he know, they did this like very quickly in the eyes of us. Like, like they dated and it was like, oh, I'm about to get married. I was like, what?
We did it for about a year, right?
Yeah.
About a year.
Yeah.
He like, that was long enough.
I knew what I wanted. It was what it was.
You always knew she was just a good person.
Oh yeah. Since I've always known Denise, I've always knew her heart. I've always known it. It was nothing that could have made that feel any different. I've always known her heart. But after everything that happened with her, and then me and her actually reconnecting, it seemed like from 14 to 35, 36, when we linked back up, it seemed like, okay, this electric moment, it is what it is, but I'm gonna ride with it.
Wow.
And listen, so when I went to Alabama, I took my kids to Alabama, so he like, bring me back one of them Southern girls, because this is my boy, like we cool. I'm talking about women giving him, I'm not one woman, several women for that Sweet as Day, like this is when we was just cool. They like, sending him gifts, best stuff ever, strawberries on it. He getting fireplaces for Christmas from several women. So when we talking about, he's like, well, I asked him like, do you like, because my daughter said he liked me, so I just asked him.
You asked him, do he like you?
Yeah, he was at work too. I was like, so like, do you like me? Like, do you like me? Like,
y'all like elementary school.
Listen to me. The first time, it was January.
Yeah.
When I kissed her, I made my move on her. Did I tell you close your eyes? What I said?
No, you closed yours.
I closed my eyes. I was nervous.
Were you?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you was nervous because you knew, even in spite of being what she called a ladies' man and having people that was interested, you knew who was the good one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I told him, I said, you got a lot going on. So when because I know you, right? Like, so when you are ready, let me know. He was like, oh, I can cut this off like a light switch. Well, when you cut the switch off, let me know.
Really?
Let me know, cause
and he just and when I say I see him dropping the kids off, picking them up. He literally fell right into the role of what God knew your family needed, not just you. Your family, and like I said, we were roommate partners in Africa, and you know how you can tell when some people have like a relationship where they have some issues, or it's like, oh wow, they about to argue or something. Y'all have a real friendship. When you were talking to him, I'm like, they just on the phone like they old friends, like just laughing, joking, having a good time. When you was about to bring the little girl, kidnap her from Africa and bring her home, he was ready, prepared. It was just, you don't see that. And so that's why I wanted to invite you all, because a lot of people are not authentic with their relationships. You know what I'm saying? And because I know you, and you had an authentic, relationship before, and I think that because of who you are, God bless you again, to have it again. And I think that, a lot of people don't realize, like, you just gotta be, like, your faith is so strong. How do you get your faith like that? I think that I have strong faith. But when I read your book, I was like, her faith is just...
I mean, you know what? I've been through a lot, and I've experienced a lot. But even to piggyback on what you said, even with our relationship, we do have a great friendship, But we still have issues for real. Like we still, we still go through stuff. Like communication is probably something that we're still working on, that we're still building on, and being able to be open and make sure that we hear each other. Like sometimes it's difficult to listen to understand and not just to respond. It's like, you pick and choose those things you hear, like, and you ready, like, let me be quiet. Let me hear you. Let me understand where you coming from for real. Mm-hmm. And those are things that we know that we have as issues, so we are intentional when we communicate. Like, okay, let me hush so I can hear him because I'm so frustrated.
we do have issues. But
yeah.
I say is just it's time. Everything works.
And he my best friend for real. Like this is my boy. Like I don't want to do life without him. And so, again, as I said, he's why I know that God still loves me. He's my unexpected detour that God said, I got you. Mm-hmm. Like, I know you thought you was about to raise these 8 kids by yourself, but I got you for real. Like, he's been their shoulder to cry on. He works a lot.
I was going to say, he worked hard.
He worked a lot.
You be like, he got to work on that. I'm like, he got to work?
He works a lot, and then he just had a stroke, too, so we've been dealing with that. And so...
I forgot he just...
in December, yeah.
And how you feeling?
Feel good.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, I'm still here. I'm on the right side of the dirt, so I'm doing something right.
Man, on the right side of the dirt. I know that's right. And you just a nurturer. You feel right into taking care of like when a situation happens, it's immediately like, let me take care of this. Let me, and you took care of him, and now he don't even look like y'all don't look like y'all done been through anything.
I'm telling you, and that was God too. So when he had his episode, it was, I don't come home from work on my lunch breaks, but I came home from work to get me something to eat. But I went to him first because he had left our bedroom door open. He never does it, and he fussed at the kids for doing it. So I'm like, red flag. So let me go upstairs. But he was so confused. He looked at me as if he didn't know I was. He scrunching. I'm like, are you okay? Like, what's wrong with you? And when he tried to stand up, he just fell. I'm like, oh no. Like,
really?
When he fell, my heart fell with him. Because I'm like, I've already been through this. So it's like, I can't. I can't. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, let me call ambulance. He's like, no. I'm okay. Nigga, no, you're not. Like, I'm like, no, something's wrong with you. Like you don't just fall to the floor. You're not 90. Yeah. Like, what's wrong? Yeah. So he wouldn't get in the ambulance, so I had to take him personally.
Were you having deja vu moments?
I was, and anytime, because he's had an issue. His father died of a heart attack at 43, and then with my husband passing at 35, my father died 18 days after my husband did. So it's like to deal with all of this loss. Like I'm over. I'm always looking. The kids can say, "Oh, my chest hurt. What? Where? Where it hurt?" Like I'm on edge.
It triggers you easily.
Literally.
Easily.
Because I don't care what's going on.
And you can tell she's triggered easily.
Oh, she's triggered easily she's triggered. I mean,
he has no emotion. Like, literally none. And so when he had his episode, he was crying. He was scared. He's never scared. So to see him scared, I had to pull my whole life together. And it's okay. I'm praying with him. But in my whole inside, I could have just curled up in a fetal position and just was like, God, please don't do this to me. Like, and that's what I was saying. Like, God, I can't do this. God, I need you to fix it. I need you to heal him on this side. Like, I'm very specific about my prayers when I'm praying to God. Like, because we always ask God a lot of times when we have our sick loved ones, and when it's their time, it's just their time. However, when I'm trying to ask God for something, I'm not just, God, heal them here. I need you to heal them on earth. Yeah. I need him here still. So please heal him on this side. And here he is.
Listen, I know your family is like really strong in faith and church and everything. Were you like that when y'all met?
Well, when me and Denise met, I came up Catholic, so it was like the discrepancies of how I was brought up religion-based or religion-wise was totally different from her being a Baptist. But when we were in high school, where we going? We were in separate schools, weren't we?
Not up to 10th grade. Then
10th grade. But I would still go to teen ministry at her church.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I knew her. I've been knowing her pastor years.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that introduction into religion, Baptist, being a Baptist, was brought to me at a younger age. So, but yes, my family stood strong on faith. They was all Catholics. They was all, older you get, I ain't got time to be bending down and getting up all day.
You know what? I don't.
I mean, that's a fact.
But what, like, your faith would, like, you have a strong relationship with God. I've known that from like the beginning. Did that make you stronger? Like when y'all got married, like did your faith get stronger when you meet somebody like? Well, not I'm saying meet, but when y'all married.
Okay, so my faith, I've always had faith.
Mm-hmm.
Me getting stronger faith. In all honesty, it helped me better looking and being a little bit more responsive to my wife's testimony. So when I seen it, and that's how people generally get faith. They look at somebody else's testimony and they see that it works. And they see it's working. So
visual.
Yeah.
Visual,
so
yeah. That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So I would be at home. I could read the Bible. I could pull the Bible on my phone, and all that. But just going to church,
yeah.
Like her daughter, I was in the basement with her one day. Her daughter said, "So Shaun, why you don't go to church?"
Her daughter asked you
Yeah.
that?
No, she said, "Do you go to
Do
church?"
church.
And you like, well,
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it wasn't like I wasn't looking for a church home or anything like that. I just didn't go to church.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I've always known God. I just didn't go to church.
Mm-hmm.
But it was times we'd be sitting at home on a Sunday. Get up, we're going to church. I'm like, okay. And so when I went there, the pastor was amazing a few times. And then I just walked up. I said, you know what? This is it.
literally just
You're-
walked up one day.
You're so getting a visual of her testimony, of like the things that she's been through that's helped you.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure.
Wow.
He walked up, literally, we're sitting in church, and they opened up the doors of the church, and he like, peace, and just started, I'm like, okay. And then he didn't tell us, and we found out like the day before that he wanted to rededicate his life to Christ, and he got baptized again. And so, and now he drive the bus for the church. He just,
I drove the bus today. I didn't drive the bus. They had a
chauffeur.
So he done got like active in it and everything. Just from just off of, I don't know if I'm using the right word, his foundation with you has made him stronger. Because because he was Catholic and everything, you didn't have an issue with that when y'all started dating, that he wasn't like this big church guy?
No, and he asked me that actually. And so, but I already knew what God was going to do. And so I had to, I didn't want to beat him over the head with it. I just had to make sure that it was a visual for him. Our lifestyle, how I live, what I know God to do for me and what he's done for me. And so through just going out, literally, let's go to church. We going to church. I'm going to church. He like,
and y'all pray at home
and not just pray. He'll pray over me. He prays for me. And so that carries me, through my day, to know that I have his covering. And so literally he's very mild talking, but he's definitely developed his relationship with Christ. And so I can appreciate it. And through that's shown me, just who God is for real.
What you guys say, friend?
I don't have anything to say.
Me and my friend talk a lot about relationships on our podcast. And I've been married twice. She's never been married, and she go through roller coasters. If she want to get married, she don't want to get married, and I be like, well, if God has it for me, then I'm willing. But I think we at a point where we enjoy our life, but it's beautiful to hear a story like this. To know there is hope that somebody can come in, and they don't have to be just what I talk a lot about how when I grew up in church, I was the pastor's daughter, and it was always the guy's a good guy if he's a church guy. If he a good, he a church guy. And then I dated the church guys, and it was like, Then I married the church guys, and it was like, So You know, but you know, so you get to a point where you kind of, you know, not lose hope or faith, because I have faith, but to hear that, you know, you can meet someone, well, I'm saying meet like y'all just met, but you know, not meet, but know somebody or meet someone, and your faith can be strong enough for the both of you where the relationship with God grow with y'all together.
Absolutely.
You know, that's good to hear. That's a beautiful thing to hear. That's why I wanted to do our Valentine's episode with y'all, because you know I didn't know Shaun. I knew Shaun through you, and just even every time I see you, it was just like she just always just so happy and not overly bubbly. Just she's
spirit.
Yes, her spirit is just calm and okay, and you know she's happy, and I was like, man, that and authentically happy, not where you're forcing, you know, something. It would just naturally flow because God had a promise for you, and I believe He had that promise because He knew what you deserve. So I'm just like, it's good to see. You changed though in good ways, because you know you started getting little tattoos.
I don't know why she did that.
Wait a minute. I was like, you can get. So you know you could carry just like he carried on her personality of building a relationship with God. She started carrying on his personality too a little bit. I started seeing Nikki getting the sleeve. I said but they all mean something.
They do. Yeah, it has a lot of meaning.
It has a lot of meaning, and I was like, when I saw them, I said, "Oh yeah, they becoming one." And I love.
And I have my deceased husband and my father both are up here as well. You know, like I have roses, and most of my kids names are in my roses, and everything on my arm.
So
has
we
meaning.
like twins over here.
Huh? Yeah.
Like this is my son's initials. When my mom passed, she had wrote in a card. So, and she loved butterflies. She had a butterfly tattoo. This is my dog's paw print from when he passed. And my dad wrote this in a card to me, and I got it on here. He's still alive, but yeah, so every single thing. And I have F love on here. Every single thing means something.
You know, sometimes your heart get broken, and you know, my friend, we not alike, but we're aligned.
That is very good. That is very good.
I don't think we're alike at all.
Not at all.
But we're aligned. We've been friends for over 30 years, and I think that when I started growing spiritually, the first person that I could talk to about it was her, because she was already, you know, in a place of having a strong relationship with God, and we could talk about anything. But it's funny because we're not alike. But when I say aligned, it's like literally we could be thinking the same thing, and it is, I don't even want to use the word crazy. So when we think about relationships, she's been there through mine. And I told her earlier when we started this podcast, like last year, and when I got married the first time, I asked her to be in, and she said no. And you know how a lot of times friendships
people would do it just because, or
yeah.
And I never was worried if our friendship was gone. Yeah, I never was. Like, and I really don't know why. Like, now thinking back, that never even crossed my mind. But I knew I could not stand up for something that I did not believe in.
Yeah, and she did not stand up with me, but I understand it more now. I can't remember back then. We never stopped talking. You know, some people fall out. We never stopped talking, but
I talked to your mom about it.
You did? I didn't know that.
Yep, I talked to your mom about it. So, like, now I feel like she probably was praying unseen.
Yes. So, you know, but I think that hearing about a real relationship with love and hope, because I want that for my friend. You know what I'm saying? She don't always want it because different reasons. You know,
I don't have a visual.
Yeah.
All of my visuals have a lot of tragedy that was never resolved. And I might have a little specks, like how I said, I have my friends' parents, but I didn't get a visual. You gave me a visual today of certain things. Like even when you talked about your husband passing, it took me back to the night when my mother passed, because my son had to tell me that my mom didn't make it. And I knew he struggled because he tried to give her CPR and stuff, but you talking about it gave me more a visual of how he's processing things, and probably how to this day he's still processing and struggling with that, to have to tell me like, Mom, sorry, I did everything I could. So I thought about that. And then the love story, because to say that your children combined, because I always had this thing where it was just like, well, I'm not dating nobody with no kids, and I just have my one son. But then I'm a nurturer too, and I love kids, even though I act like I don't like kids, because I'll be quick to be like, I hate kids. but I love kids. And I mean, I have people in my life where their parents probably don't even know how I pour and talk into their kids. So hearing that just makes me be like, when I told you like, oh yeah, I don't care if he got kids like little or whatever, like this visual is just like, oh, this is why I feel like that, because at heart I'm a nurturer. And I got my ways, but essentially I'm a good person, because I'm like you, like I ain't trying to hear all that. Like, versus like, okay, well, let me hear your side of the story.
Right.
So you get a visual how you supposed
So
to
I
be.
get a visual, yeah. So this was really good for my soul.
Bless you.
Yeah.
No, and literally with that, communication is a work in progress. Like it's just something that we've been together now 4 years, and we've been married 3, and so and even still, my next book is going to be called Blended and But Not Perfection, because blending this family.
Ooh, Jesus Christ. It's been a real struggle. In all honesty, it has been. My wife, she has taken on a challenge. Me, not so much, because when I tell you her babies, or our babies, they came in and they embraced it. They did. My daughters, they started off pretty smooth, but then, Jesus.
And you got 4 daughters.
4.
And are they better now?
What?
Are they better now with this?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Is that a struggle for you?
Oh, definitely a struggle for me.
Okay.
Definitely, it's definitely it's something that I battle a lot. Definitely.
It's a struggle for you.
Not so much as it was. It was very hurtful in the beginning because I love kids, so I'm doing my, like I'm just, let's do this. You want to go here? You want to we're going out to do this. Let's go. We're going out of town. Let's go. I'm going to a women's conference because I had to minister. Come with me. And, I think that, outside influences often sometimes can deter people from actually genuinely, liking and caring about a person, or trying to get to know them. And so I think that they allow that to skew their view of, I never tried to be a mother, just your friend for real, because they were big girls. Like when we started dating, they were, 16, 17, 15, so they weren't like babies. So I'm not trying to come in as a mother.
But you want to
I'm
blend,
just your friend. So, and that's why, I said blended, but not perfection.
Do you all try to make a effort to like bring it together still?
Not so much now. We have a lot, because one of them, she lives out of state. She's about to have a baby, so he about to be a granddaddy for real. She's married and she lives in South Carolina.
One of the Carolinas.
Yeah, South. And so, because he just sent her a crib. So remember where you still had that crib delivered, okay?
So you still do, even though the relationship is not as strong as you want it to be. You still.
I mean, I'm still, like I say, the way I feel about things and the way my wife's heart is set up, it gels together because I'm straight shot, no chaser. I'm just say that I'm different, and the way my wife's heart is set up, it's
she tried more than you like.
Yes.
You like whatever now.
and that's where I'm focused at because God, like I tell people all the time, God blessed me with my wife. So with that unionship that we have, it's like my daughter grown, she married, she got her own life, she got her own husband. 3 of my other daughters are grown, they have their own lives.
So you like, I have to live my life.
I have to live, and my thing is I can
You're
fight.
coming on the close.
I know I'm saying this.
Like I can fight all day, and
Yeah.
I can, and I'm not gonna tear down my house for none of this. You know, for all this recklessness, I'm not gonna do it. I let my kids know, and I'm going from 23 Amber to Sebastian and Zoe. You know, we gonna make this work, but I ain't gonna tear this down.
For you and your wife.
Yeah.
I know that. Come on. You better talk, Shaun.
That's
Your wife come first.
Yes.
Period. Point blank.
Yes.
Because them kids gonna grow up.
They gonna grow up and they gonna do their thing, and me and her still gonna have each other.
Baby.
So with my kids being grown, and like I said, it hurts. It still hurts now because, like I said, I was a single father for years. You know, so see me raise my kids and nurture them, help them get out here in the streets and do whatever they got to do. It's something. But when you get old and you start making your own decisions, and you start, pulling away from something, and I see disrespect coming this way, I don't tolerate it. I don't care for it. Bye. So I said I'm totally different. My wife, her heart is set up different.
She be trying to say, well, let's try it. That's you.
All the time.
All the time. Like it's what you getting for their birthday? Nothing. What you doing? Nothing. Merry Christmas, happy birthday. And she said, well, babe. I'm like, okay. But me, I told you I'm straight shot. I don't care about none of that.
It's no right or wrong with that though. You know what I'm saying? It's no right or wrong. God gonna fix it. What need to be fixed? Because your faith is strong enough to know that.
That's all you can do is pray for them.
All you can do is pray for
literally,
them.
and that's what we do. We be praying daily.
That's it.
Praying without ceasing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be all right.
I thank y'all for coming. I thank y'all.
No, thank you for
I
having
thank
us.
God that my dad's still single, because am I going to be the 48-year-old problem child?
Hey, listen, we talked about that when my daddy got married. How you see how I was dang near 50, and I was like, well, what?
Yeah, but I would have been worse than you.
I know.
I have an act out.
But you're getting visuals of lessons of.
Yeah, and how to be real specific in my prayer.
Be real specific. Yeah, that's real. That's real. Like, we got a lot of lessons. Thank y'all for coming.
No, thank you.
Thank y'all for coming. I mean, you got so much of this book. I could have talked for like 3 hours. I know, but we only have an hour show. But I thank y'all for coming and sharing part of y'all's story with us, and giving some single ladies out here hope, and giving also men a lesson on how to love your wife. Because you don't hear a lot of people say, it don't matter, it's me and her. Because a lot of people be like, my kid come first, my kid, and they argue about that. But to hear you like, it's me and her, I mean, I thank you for the lessons y'all gave today.
Thank you.
We appreciate y'all. And let me give me that book so I can hold it up. So if anybody wants to order it, Denise Chandler, it's on Amazon, How to Overcome Tragedy.
Still
And
smiling.
Still smiling.
Oh, Still Smiling.
Yes.
That's the title.
How to overcome tragedy and thrive.
Yeah, I was looking at the
Yeah.
bottom.
No, you're
I'm sorry.
okay. No, you're
All right,
good.
so y'all, we want y'all to like, listen, subscribe, share. I'm encouraged by the message we got today. It went by too fast. I could have kept going. But we thank y'all for coming, and like, listen, subscribe, share with a friend. Let us know in the comments what y'all think. And order her book, read her story, and we're gonna have y'all come back one day.
All right.
Hey,
I'm
Takesha, you got anything else?
No, bye.
See y'all next week.